you've been listening to this particular music, so here's some good music for you. I think next step is contextualized recommendation, and we're kind of working on that, but we need data for that. So basically, being able to understand what kind of music you listen to in what context. Like are you like at home eating, like you were saying, like you know what's going on outside and around you. So that's the next level, and I think the third level, which is going to require even more data, but I think we'll get there eventually, is to tap into your physiology, like being able to actually track, like you know, your Fitbits of the world, but better. Track like how do you feel right now. So going back to your emotional feedback, you know, like that can be driving what actually is the right music for you at the moment to calm you down, you know, to help you like you know, or like excite you or whatever. So I think that's one thing that's going to be interesting in terms of how maybe music is going to be even more targeted, more precisely targeted. The second one I think is like, you know, the format itself. I think is gonna have to change. Like the album format, which is you know exists now on streaming platforms, have kind of changed into playlist format. You know, people like to mix tracks in a different way, but it's still tracks which are still based on the fact that we used to have physical, you know, kind of like a medium to put those tracks on. So there had to be a certain length. Also, it's due on the fact that we used to broadcast those tracks on radio, and so that's also like you know kind of formatted to 3-minute long tracks. All that doesn't need to happen anymore. Now today we have you know creators on one end that have super sophisticated equipment, and we have listeners on the other end that have a computer in their pocket. Like, so why do we need to like you know get that track bounced to 3-minute long MP3? It doesn't need to be. It could be a lot more interactive. It can be a lot more flexible, and I think we're going to get towards like a much more dynamic kind of way of listening to music, and the content is going to be a lot more mixed and dynamic as well. So I think that's an area that's...
So speaking of interesting content, I just want to say, if you guys ran into these guys out there, there's also an artistic career that you guys should probably ask about, not just the technology side and the business experience. But okay, we have time for 1 or 2 questions.
Yes, hi. I was wondering, from your perspective, there's in the last few years, there's kind of a revival of the physical, tangible music medium, especially vinyl and stuff. And do you see it as a fad or a sustainable market share? And if yes, what are your approach to this market?
I mean, from a label perspective, I think we see that as an interesting experiment of we don't know where it's going. We hope it's going to continue to sustain itself, because as I said in the beginning, there's different types of consumers, right? Some consumers prefer to have the physical object in their hand, and having an art piece, either on a collection or even on their wall, it's part of a whole experience that previously, and still is in some way, attached to the experience of going out and seeing a new piece of music and consuming it, but also consuming the stuff associated with it, the physical gatefold or the art in the booklets, the liner notes. I don't know if you are familiar with Record Store Day, which again is a very big outlet for the distribution of vinyl, and I was really surprised when one day I was out at a concert and a band gave me a cassette and said, "Oh, you can hear us in the cassette store today." And I didn't even know there was a cassette store today. So again, I don't know if these are going to be fads, but the fact that bands and artists, again, in a very savvy way, are exploring with different formats, I think that's an interesting thing that should be encouraged. Because when you get a CD, nowadays you either have a CD player maybe in your car or in a hi-fi stereo, but certainly the terminals are decreasing, whereas perhaps record players and even cassette players are booming. So I think it's certainly an avenue that should be encouraged.
What about in-stream promotion or in-app promotions for new artists, or how can I interact with new artists that I think I would like to hear inside, for instance, Spotify
So the question is, could artists be promoted inside the app? Yes, I mean, recommendation is a form of promotion, but like if you're talking about directly paying for promotion, for example, yeah, that's obviously something we're thinking about. Is like, could we enable that checkbox of like, yes, I'd rather be promoted than getting paid, for example, and then we could help you. Like I mentioned, the new music submission, it's one way for an artist to actually say, I want to get promoted on these playlists. But it's not guaranteed, obviously, that you're going to get on it. But yeah, these are like the type of services that we're thinking about that could help the artist, be more successful. It's like we can give you a list of choices of like how you want to be on the platform, and depending on where you are in your career, you might want to choose this or that. And one of those is like, sync licensing for advertisement, that I need some money right now. Or like, promotion, like get me promoted as much as possible. And recommendation is the way to get you to the right place, right? So it's like, that's, if you put all these technologies together and the services, we need to put it in place. But yes, that's basically the answer. Is like, it's coming. We're going to help you do that.
Okay, so we're going to hear more from Tristan in just a few minutes as he's teaching us about the world of data and where you can go to. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the panelists.